Hello and welcome to my channel. So I'm doing a mini series of gift ideas you can give to people, including artists and from artists. And from a poll on the community tab, people wanted to see unique gifts for artists. So we're going to start with that one first. First idea is just giving the artists in your life some interesting line work ideas. So you can give them a glass pen like this. These are all over the place. I just actually got this as a gift, so I'm not even sure where mine came from. But that is one idea that you can try. Just be very careful when packing and wrapping that. And then another idea is these Pilot parallel pens. And they come in a couple different sizes. And there's a couple different ink colors that you can get. I will say that the inks that come with these Pilot parallel pens are not waterproof, so you would have to consider what type of stuff they like to use, when they use their line work, because if someone does line work after they do their watercolor painting, if it's a water-based ink, it won't affect it as much. But if they like to ink beforehand, then it might cause a little bit of an issue. But there's many different sizes that you can have, and it just creates something really fun. So these are some of the sizes I have. I think this one is my biggest one. Yep, and this one is the one currently in use. So that is just how thick it can be. And yeah, it's very different. Very unique trying to work with these to do different line work. And then another one is actually, mine is a King Art Inkline painting pen, which is sort of cool. I got mine in a subscription box, and it reminds me of when we made decorated Ukrainian eggs. And it just reminded me of one of the tools. And I had a lot of fun working with this. So those are some unique line work ideas. And hold on for even more ideas to come. Something that can either be expensive or really cheap is a plein air trip. Now, this happens to be from a trip for my birthday, in which we went to a town called Frankenmuth, and we did some blacksmithing. But it's just a beautiful area in which I could sit and paint. There is a covered bridge and everything. You can find something close by, like different parks. I know there are some colleges that have beautiful grounds. You can go into cities and find different areas and just plan a trip for your artist. It doesn't have to be super involved, like having something very expensive like when we went to here, but it can be something just as simple as packing a little picnic and going to a park with your artist, or even just planning it just for them. I mean, there's different like gardens that you can go to as well, and just taking that time and planning a trip for them might be just the little thing they need to get out there and paint or draw. And maybe they might need some company. Maybe they want to do it alone. There's so many options of what you can do for it, but planning the trip might be one of the harder things for someone. So if you take the effort to plan it, then they can enjoy it. Another idea is you can always give your artist some tickets to an exhibit they love. Now, me personally, I happen to love Van Gogh stuff, so I went to the Beyond Van Gogh exhibit, which was awesome. You can get your artist tickets to something like that, or another artist they love. Like there's a traveling Van Gogh, not Van Gogh. There's a traveling Georgia O'Keeffe exhibit that I have seen in like 2 different cities, and it ended up having different paintings in each one. But just different exhibits like that the artists in your life might really love going to see the paintings of people that they admire. So getting them tickets to an exhibit like that might be really fun. A fun gift could be something like a prompt generator. Now, I'm not just saying just a website. I have these Rory Story Cubes, and there are so many different ones. So this one's called Heroes. It has superhero type stuff as well as sports. This one is Fantasia, so there's a lot of more like fantasy elements. There's a Star Wars one. There's a Harry Potter one. This one should be my Doctor Who one. Yep, Doctor Who. Just very fun. A lot of different options that you can get. And just take a couple of the cubes, roll it, and then use that as prompts. A unique activity that you can get gifts for is resin. But the one important thing about resin is making sure that your person has the correct safety gear. Now that means well-ventilated area to do it, as well as like a breathing apparatus like this. But if they're really into it, or they have some of that stuff, like for me, I have to wait until it's summer and it's between a certain temperature to be able to do resin because I don't have a workshop. But you can make some really cool things. Like I made this shaker, which is really fun. Another shaker that I made with a bunch of beads and things hiding inside. You can make, well, I mean, it's me. I'm going to make bats. And even I found a mold for some Halloween decor. So resin is a really cool thing that if you give your artist a kit to do it, they might really enjoy it. Make sure you get them the right safety equipment because safety comes first. If your artist is really into watercolors, maybe they want to try making their own. I would suggest getting some gum arabic. This is the type that I have. And then instead of having to get pigments and stuff, you can just let them try with having some eyeshadow. So this is just a cheap palette that I had gotten from the dollar store to try this out. But fun thing, eyeshadow expires. So if they have some eyeshadow that is expired, they could use that. I don't suggest giving your own eyeshadow, but they can use their own that might have expired. Some fun project ideas that you could do is getting either watercolor ground and gesso for someone, and then a little project. So this is a pumpkin that I picked up that's wooden that I prepped with the gesso to paint later. If you want, a very relaxing thing to me, now this is for me personally, is sculpting. So you can get some sculpty clay and maybe some ideas. So this was actually a little bat that I made about 7 months ago when I was really stressed. So that's another idea. A more expensive idea might be a subscription box. I suggest Scrawlrbox. If you do live in the US, it is extra for shipping, but you can also get previous Scrawlrboxes that are discounted. If you're in the UK, get the Scrawlrbox. There's no extra shipping if you live in the UK. The reason I suggest Scrawlrbox even for the US is because there are going to be unique things that you might not be able to get in the US yet. So some of the Derwent stuff actually came from a Scrawlrbox, and there's been a couple supplies that you can't get in the US yet. If you want a US based one, I suggest Sketchbox, if I can fit it on screen. Sketchbox is very good too. So those are the subscription boxes I suggest. A fun thing could be a pencil case. So this is one of my pencil cases right here, and it's a little bubble tea guy that you pull down and he gets shorter, but then you can access everything in there. I'm in the process of rearranging him right now, so he doesn't have much. But also, you can have just like a clear case like this. I have so many of these. They locked together when you stack them, which is awesome where they're not shifting around. And yeah, just getting a bunch of storage things can be fun and can be really cute. I mean, I have this little cup that I got from, I think it was Michael's. It's supposed to be like Crayola crayons, but it's just nice to have on my desk just to put stuff. Some other ideas is getting art supplies that they might have not tried before. For a while, I hadn't tried watercolor pencils. These happen to be my favorite. There are the Faber-Castell Albrecht Magnus watercolor pencils, and the way these re-wet on paper is almost like using just watercolors right on the paper. They work beautifully. They're almost like pans themselves. Now, if you get the Magnus, you need to get the person a special pencil sharpener because these won't fit into a regular pencil sharpener. This is my little parrotfish guy, and you remove his beak, and there's the pencil sharpener. So that's one idea. Other idea is getting gouache. Now, we're still in the realm of halfway normal, but if you go into gouache, you could also do acrylic gouache if they've never tried acrylic gouache. Acrylic gouache. A little bit of a tongue twister for me. So acrylic gouache sort of acts like acrylics in which it does not re-wet. So that can be a very unique thing. In more of the realm of watercolors, there is a watercolor powder. So these are two of the ones I have. I happen to get mine through Sketchbox, but there are more available on the market. So these are not the only ones available. Excuse me, that reach. I also have these Graphics Aqua Ink from Marabu. These are very interesting. I also have a bunch of metallic ones or regular ones. So if you have a friend who's never tried metallics before, you can always get them metallics, something like that. I personally love having really unique supplies because I feel like they add so much more dimension to things. Another unique supply is acrylic ink, and I mean, look at this one. That is a neon orange, even if it doesn't show up on camera, but you can get metallic. I have seen people use these with dip pens and other supplies like that they've done calligraphy with. So that's an option. We'll put them over here. Now, something I think is super unique is the Spectrum Noir Tricolor Aqua. So these are water soluble, and they are 3 markers in one, and they come in sets. So it's really cool. They're all brush pens and they're pretty flexible. Now, I think if you don't want to veer too far away from their comfort zone, and if they're a watercolor person like I am, you can just get them a very nice tube of a paint. If I were to suggest something, I would suggest, especially if you live in the US, is the Daniel Smith Primatech line. Some of them are not very good, but some of them, like these two, are really cool. Especially my favorite, the Serpentine Genuine. It granulates beautifully. It's this green, but when it granulates, there's these speckles of almost this red. And it is just gorgeous. So yeah, these can be expensive as one tube by themselves, but it would be a very unique gift, and this tube is going to last them a very long time. Some lesser known materials continue with some Caran d'Ache Aquarelle. So these ones are the Neocolor Aquarelle, and they basically are like watercolors. You can use them almost like a pan, or you can scrub them on the page. They're very similar to the Faber-Castell Albrecht watercolor pencils, but these ones are sort of like crayons. So that is a really unique one. Now, Derwent has some very interesting pans. So they have these Inktense pans. So we're going to get both of them out. Apparently it's already spinning around. So these are the two Inktense ones. Now Inktense are very interesting because with Inktense you can paint them onto fabric. And I recently did that for a present. And in addition to the Inktense, they have this very interesting graph tint. Now all these come with one of these travel water brushes. And these are all with graphite in them, and they can erase a little bit. Just a little bit. And then the final Derwent one that I have happens to be the pastel shades. Now these are beautiful in the way of they have a little bit of white added to them, and they are very opaque, and they are just very beautiful to lay down on a page and paint with. More items that might be closer to their comfort zone might be getting some neons, or if you want, getting some different metallics. So I have a couple different metallics. I have some Faber-Castell, as well as these manga liners, or even Posca pens. And Posca pens actually have glitter pens as well, so that's pretty cool. If you're wanting to look at metallic watercolors as well as glitter watercolors, I have a whole video on some small businesses that make some really awesome ones. It'll be in the card, so you can look at that video too. Unique art supplies can include unique paper. So you might be able to find some watercolor paper that comes in rounds like this. Or, one of my personal favorites is watercolor paper made with agave. And that means that bats helped make this paper. So to me, that's really awesome. I hope you got some good gift ideas. If you liked it, please consider liking and subscribing. And there are a few more that are hopefully going to be coming out in the next few days. I hope you have a bat-tastic day. Bye!